Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and today we are going to be counting down 10 DPS Warframes that I think you should pick up in 2019. This list is in no particular order because that is just the nature of Warframe. Different frames are going to do better or worse in different situations, so you can't really rank Warframes, so to speak. I've included area of effect and buffing Warframes on this list as I feel that both fall into the DPS category. Before we move on, I want to give a quick shout out to Discord for sponsoring this video. If you are unaware, Discord currently have Nitro perks set up for Warframe players. If you're a member of Discord Nitro, which if you're not, you should be, you can claim an Ashe Nitro bundle where you're going to be able to get the Ashe Warframe, the slots included of course, the Ashe Koga Deluxe skin, the Gazelle armor set, the Sentry Syandana, a 7-day affinity booster, and an exclusive Discord color palette. There's going to be a link in the description below that will take you to the page where you're going to be able to claim your free Ashe Warframe and more if you're already a Nitro subscriber. If you're not subscribed to Nitro, you can get this bundle and access to other games for $10 a month. Use the link below to sign up. There's going to be a lot more Warframe Nitro bundles in the coming months. This one is limited time, so if you need Ashe or anything else that I listed, I recommend jumping on the opportunity. With that being said, it segues us easily into our first Warframe on the list, Ashe. Most players are going to look at Ashe and instantly think that he is a stealth frame based off of how his abilities are described, but he actually has one of the most damaging abilities in the game, his ultimate Bladestorm. Bladestorm is a great mob clearing ability as it is super energy efficient and it damage scales with your melee combo counter. Bladestorm is like a toggle ability where you activate it by pressing 4 and then any enemy that you look at is marked for death. Pressing your 4 again will send out a decoy of Ashe that will deal 2000 damage unmodded at max rank. If enemies are not killed, they will begin to bleed, losing health over time. Every death mark that you apply to an enemy will consume 12 energy unmodded at max rank. This energy cost per death mark is cut in half if you are marking an enemy while you're invisible. You can go invisible by making use of Ashe's second ability, Smokescreen. Make sure to invest in power, strength, range, and efficiency mods to make the most out of Bladestorm. Here is my Bladestorm build for Ashe. Next up, we have Rhino. Rhino on this list is just considered to be a buffer frame. His roar ability is the ability that you can use to buff up the damage off your weapons and damaging Warframe abilities. The reason that he's on this list is because I see him as a great pickup for newer players to the game who are maybe struggling in the damage department because of a lack of endo and other damage mods. You can use Rhino to get past some of the gear check-like content, as I like to call it, that's in the game without actually having to have the appropriate gear to get past it. The effectiveness of Roar can be increased by equipping power strength mods. The sooner that you get to the leader planets, the more efficiently you're going to be able to farm endo, meaning that your damage and survival potential is just going to spike instead of being a gradual increase. Rhino is definitely the frame that is going to allow you to get past all the content that you may be struggling with and just get stronger a lot faster. Here's my roar build for Rhino. Our third Warframe on the list is Chroma. Chroma is a relatively hard Warframe for a newer player to obtain, but he is an essential frame for the likes of an Eidolon Hunt and the Prophet Taker fights because of his insane damage buff that actually works a little bit like the Saryn mod, except you have to take health damage for it to activate. Chroma's buffing capabilities from his third ability combined with how tanky he is at base makes him a great frame for doing the likes of Eidolon fights or even just taking on a large group of enemies on your own. He's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get, but he's definitely worth picking up and investing Forma into ASAP. Here's my Eidolon hunting build for Chroma. Next up we have Mirage. Now Mirage is pretty much the complete opposite of Chroma. She's more of a glass cannon and her buff works a little bit differently because you have to be standing in high intensity light for it to take effect, but when it does take effect, it's absolutely broken. No matter what weapon you're using while you're using Mirage and you have her damage buff from her third ability, Eclipse, after stacking a lot of power strength of course, it's gonna shred anything that gets in your way. If you want something dead and you want it dead within the shortest amount of time possible, as long as the enemy poses no real threat to you, Mirage is probably the frame that you want to pick up. Now all of that was just in reference to her third ability Eclipse, but you can further increase the amount of damage that you're going to be dealing with Mirage by summoning her doppelgangers by using her Hall of Mirrors ability. If you want to see some crazy numbers and make your enemies dead, pick up Mirage. She's definitely worth your time. Here's my damage buffing build for Mirage. For our 5th Warframe, we have Titania. Now, Titania is not the most insane damage dealing Warframe in the game, but she definitely does have her own unique niche uses. Her 4th ability allows her to turn into a small pixie and use her exalted sidearms called the Dex Pixia, which you mod for critical damage. If you put together a standard critical damage secondary build on her Dex Pixia and combine that with 2x Arcane Velocity, the arcane that has a chance to increase your secondary weapon's fire rate when you get a critical hit, Titania's DPS versus heavily armored enemies, implying you're using corrosive damage, is absolutely insane. Titania is honestly my go-to Warframe when a bonus armor stage 3 Lephantis already pops up. Having a Titania accompanied by a few buffing frames versus Lephantis in this particular scenario absolutely destroys him and makes what would be a mildly frustrating sortie a breeze. Here's my build for Titania, and here's my build for my Dex Pixia. Moving on to our next Warframe, we have everybody's fan favorite, Octavia. Now at first glance, Octavia seems to be more like a buffing frame rather than a straight up DPS frame, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Octavia can literally kill level 100 plus enemies just by standing still while also having a shit ton of buffs active at the same time. That's how insane she is. Using Octavia for damage dealing works a little bit like this. Step 1 is to cast Metronome and crouch to the beat to become invisible. Step 2 is to throw out your mallet so that the enemies start to shoot at it. The more that they shoot at it, the higher the damage is going to scale. And then step 3 is to throw out your resonator so it picks up your mallet and enemies start to chase it. In this process, more enemies are going to start shooting the resonator and the mallet, so more damage will be applied back to them. All you have to do is make sure that your 1, 2, and 3 are active at all times, and then you can literally stand still and watch everything drop dead around you. This is my build for Octavia. Our 7th Warframe on the list is Mesa. Press 4, hold down left click, and it's dead. Mesa is one of those frames that is just undeniably a must-have. She has a damage buffing, crowd control ability, sharpshooter. She can have up to 95% damage reduction on her shatter shield ability with as little as 119% fire strength. And then she can absolutely obliterate any enemy that she looks at with her peacemakers, implying you're using a crit build on them and have 2x arcane velocity on the frame. I shouldn't really have to say much more to sell you on Mesa. If you're paying attention to the gameplay in the background, I'm sure you picked up on the fact that literally nothing except for maybe a nullifier or two can stop her while she's using her peacemakers. Here is my current Mesa build, but like I mentioned before, you don't need as much power strength as I have. You only need about 119 to 120% for the 95% damage reduction, as most of your damage from peacemakers is going to come from the mods that you have equipped to them. You can see my build on screen now. I can't really stress though how important the 2x arcane velocity is. If you don't have that, I would recommend swapping out Hornet Strike for Gunslinger and Magnum Force for anemic agility. Next up, we have Gaara, my personal favorite frame. Now, Gaara is arguably one of the best damage scaling frames in the game, but you do need to put in a little bit of elbow grease to make her insane. You can stack the amount of damage that her Splinter Storm and Mass Vitrify abilities deal by first casting Splinter Storm, then casting Mass Vitrify, jumping outside of the glass wall that you create with Mass Vitrify, and then smashing it with your first ability, Shattered Lash. Repeating this cycle will constantly scale up the amount of damage that you deal with your second and fourth abilities. Having more power strength and more damaging mods on your melee weapon will make the damage scale even faster. Mass Vitrify, if modded with enough power range and used correctly, can make for a great nuking ability to just clear waves of enemies in no time. The damage that you stack up will stay until the duration of Splinter Storm runs out. Every time you cast Mass Vitrify, the duration of Splinter Storm will reset, allowing you to maintain your stack damage, so keep on stacking. Here's my build for Gaara. Our 9th frame is Equinox. Equinox is a really interesting frame because she can be played in so many different ways, but the main way that I teach players to play her is to just stack as much power range as possible, accompanied by power duration and efficiency for minimum drain on her meme ability. Then you go around killing enemies while meme is active, and 75% of the enemy's total health will be added to a stored damage counter that you're going to be able to re-release all of this damage to enemies that are within your power range, making it so you can wipe an entire wave of enemies with one press of a button, implying that you manage it right. Playing Equinox in this way is really efficient in game modes that require you to kill a lot of enemies in a short period of time if you want to farm the rewards from them really efficiently. Here's the build that I recommend using for Equinox. Last but definitely not least, we have Saryn. Now, I put Saryn as the last frame despite me saying at the start of the video that this is in no particular order, simply because I feel like she can do what Gaara and Equinox do just in her own way. So for example, with her miasma ability, she can wipe an entire wave of enemies with one press of a button, just like Equinox can, but then with her spores ability, accompanied by miasma, she also has pretty good damage scaling like Gaara. Saryn is definitely my go-to for all of my endurance runs because she has pretty much everything that I would be looking for in an AoE damage dealing frame that would allow me to farm game modes such as ESO or defense missions efficiently. Her third ability is a damage buff, her fourth ability is a nuke and a widespread viral proc, which is awesome too. Her first ability is scaling damage over time accompanied by corrosive procs, and her second ability can be used as a means to regen health if you're lacking in operator arcanes through her augment. If there was one frame that I would recommend the players to pick up from this list if they just wanted to kill everything, it would be Saryn, so here's my Saryn build. But with all that being said, that is my top 10 DPS Warframe list for 2019. I hope you guys enjoyed and maybe learned something new. Let me know down in the comment section what frames you would personally put on this list and why. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Subscribe for more Warframe content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.